बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you to the AMU association that has invited me. I'm really, really honored. The topic of my discussion today is Faiz and the Good Comrade. Recently, I reread an essay by Faiz Ahmad Faiz written in 1948 when he himself was a young man. And through this essay, I learnt as much about Faiz Sahab himself as I did about the person he was writing about, Allama Iqbal. By showing us the foundational principles of Iqbal's larger concept of a life well lived, Faiz reveals what he admires and struggles to become himself. In fact, reading this essay, I had an epiphany. It suddenly became crystal clear to me what Faiz's concept of the good comrade is. My goal in this brief talk is not only to convey a sense of the astonishing transformative powers of poetry, but to fill in the gaps between what you are today and what you can and at least try to become tomorrow. To inspire you, starting now, to devote yourselves, heart and soul, and with every ounce of passion in your bodies, to strive towards becoming the good comrades yourself. The title of Faiz's essay is Jazba-e-Iqbal ki Bunyadi Kaifiyat. But it is the subtitle that grabbed my attention because it so beautifully and precisely captures the emotional underpinnings of Iqbal's body of poetry and practically explains right then and there in a frugal one-liner the content of the essay to come. Absolute genius. So here's the subtitle. Remember, the title is Jazba-e-Iqbal ki Bunyadi Kaifiyat, and the subtitle is Sozo Sazo Dardo Dago Justujuo Arzu. Burning and suffering, scars and pain, seeking and longing. How succinct, compact, pithy, yet one can spend a lifetime not just unpacking it, but then experiencing each of the profound sentiments invoked in this one misra. Faiz Sahab thinks this line contains every emotion expressed by Iqbal, the inner happenings of his intellectual life, the bedrock on which all of his finest poetry rests. Every shade depicts one or more of these 6 states of man's experience. Of course, it's from Bale Jibreel and constitutes the beginning of an enchanting dialogue between the good angel Jibreel and the evil shaitan. Jibreel begins by asking, Hamdame Derina, Kaisa hai jahane rangobu? And Shaitan responds, Sozo Sazo, Dardo Dago, Justujuo Arzu. Faiz Sahab proceeded to say that in one form or another, these are the emotional states depicted in all of Iqbal's kalam. What it ultimately boils down to is the hollowness, the existential dread at the core of human anguish, the enigma of incompletion, no matter what we pursue. The reason I thought that this discussion would be particularly apt in the Mehfil today is because the audience is all of you, our youth, the AMU students. At this juncture in one's life, the aims and goals are more personal. A time when one tries to dispel the sense of loneliness, the despondency through another individual. Faisab actually breaks this misra into two parts. The first is sozo sazo dardo daag part. Emotions not unique to the poet, of course, the sense of profound loneliness, tanhai, constitutes an integral part of the inner life and psyche of every human, but especially every Jawan, every youth, as he or she transitions from the passionate formative years of puberty and adolescence to finding their place in society as a responsible member. And I would add that not just carving out their place in society, but also seeking and finding an adult intimate relationship. When one is young, there is a state of a deep underlying confusion, when things are not exactly clear, when it is impossible to even articulate one's own ambitions clearly, leave alone develop a comprehensive worldview. One is helplessly flailing and thrashing around wildly in a sea of seductions and rebellions, attracted to love and beauty one day and nature and more universal concepts the next. The profound issue at stake is the constant, gnawing, harrowing aloneness. A bekali, a bechani, a hollowness that nothing seems capable of filling. Faisab echoes Iqbal precisely when he cites the sozo sazo dardo daag, the anguish and the torment at the heart of humanity's suffering, in his own gorgeous lines. कई बार इसका दामन भर दिया हुस्ने दो आलम से, मगर दिल है कि इसकी खाना वीरानी नहीं जाती. Many a time for them I filled the lap with beauty of the two worlds, yet the heart's lonely, deserted, existential vacuum persists. I think I'm very partial to these lines because I do believe that outer beauty has received a bad rap. If there's beauty inside a person, it will be reflected on the outside. So the real goal is to make one's heart pure, one's soul receptive to joy. I recently tweeted something to the tune of, if your eyes are positive, you will love the world. But if your tongue is positive, the world will love you. Faisab goes on to say, कई बार इसकी खातिर जर्रे जर्रे का जिगर चीरा, मगर वो चश्मे हैरां जिसकी हैरानी नहीं जाती. This is what Iqbal and Faiz are talking about with sozo sazo dardo daag part of the misra. So now we come to the second part, the justuju arzu part. Faisab asks, what comes after? What do we seek after first experiencing the sozo sazo dardo daag of life? Well, first is the desire to reveal your own story to others, to share your own experience. Tell the world what is keeping you up at night, what is on your 3 a.m. agenda, what makes you tick and sends your pulses racing. This is how Iqbal then expresses his anguish, his angst. मेरे दीदाए तर की बेख्वाबियाँ और मेरे दिल की पोशीदा बेताबियाँ, मेरे नाले नीम शब का न्याज, मेरी खिलवतो अंजुमन का गदाज, उमंगे मेरी, आरजुएं मेरी, उम्मीदें मेरी, जुस्तजुएं मेरी, यही कुछ है साक़ी मताए फ़कीर, इसी से फ़कीरी में मैं हूँ अमीर. मेरे काफ़िले में लुटा दे इसे, लुटा दे, ठिकाने लगा दे इसे. This phase of arzu and justuju, the period in one's life where one is no longer only pining for a beloved, but now pays attention to the integration of an ego. To Iqbal, this is the seminal moment when the complete, wholesome, enduring, compact, lasting self, khudi, emerges. This quest is not attached to another individual. More importantly, all ambiguities disappear now. Everything starts to become clear, replaced by certitude, total confidence in one's ultimate worldview, absolute yaqeen in what one's conduct must be in challenging situations. A Sufi, in other words. Fateh Muhammad Malik Sahab, a wonderful Faiz authority from Pakistan, quotes Faiz Sahab as saying to Dr. Ayub Mirza, the Sufi is great, has overcome constraints of time and space, has come close to the eternal mystery, the Asrar-e Azal. They are the real comrades. Faiz defines the core values of a comrade here. What these lines are just so gorgeous. Pay attention for a minute. तालिब हैं अगर हम तो फ़कत हक़ के तलबगार. तालिब हैं अगर हम तो फ़कत हक़ के तलबगार, बातिल के मुकाबिल में सदाकत के परस्तार, इंसाफ के, नेकी के, मरवत के तरफदार, जालिम के मुखालिफ हैं तो बेकस के मददगार. जो जुल्म पे ना लानत ना करे आप नहीं है, जो जब्र का मुनकिर नहीं वो मुनकिरे दी है. How profound are these lines, how gorgeous. I think this is the most complete definition of the good comrade that I have found in all of Faiz Sahab's kalam. So let me now bring you back one full circle from where we started. Faiz Sahab thinks that the emotions driving Iqbal's poetic expression can be summarized in one line: sozo, sazo, dardo, dago, justujuo, arzu. He then deconstructs the line and says that the youth struggle with the sozo, sazo, dardo, dag part, but once they have carved out a place in society, gained more confidence or found satisfaction through another individual, their attention becomes focused on justujuo, arzu. Beyond the concerns, seeking answers to more ideological issues, defining the core values of life, developing a wholesome ego, khudi. At this point, the khudi must be so strong that it rejects ugliness in all forms, seeks beauty, stands up for one's belief. The making of a good comrade, Iqbal defines this state of actualization in sublime words, because the confidence that comes with this kind of khudi, unke bakhshat be yaqeen ara yaqeen, unke larzat as sujude u zami. Their manzil of yaqeen provides yaqeen to be yaqeeni, yaqeens. If they put their forehead on the ground in a sajda, the very earth has a seizure, it begins to shake. So I want to end now with Fateh Muhammad Malik Sahab, who goes on to say something really profound. In describing the good comrade, he uses word maslak, which means conduct. Maslak means like a worldview, a path, tariqa-e-kar. What is the maslak of a good comrade? What should be your conduct? What should be your tariqa-e-kar? Faiz believes that I'm now quoting Fateh Muhammad Malik Sahab. Faiz believed that the maslak of a good comrade is the maslak of Hussain bin Ali. And here is Faiz pointing out the time when speech is done, when time for action begins. What comes next for the good comrade? What is the maslak? That conduct, that tariqa-e-kar. So after all the conceptualization, unless you act, unless you put things into action, you have wasted your life. कर खत्म सुखन महवे दुआ हो गए शब्बीर, फिर नारा जिना महवे विगा हो गए शब्बीर, कुर्बान रहे सिद्को सफ़ा हो गए शब्बीर, और खेमों में था कोहराम जुदा हो गए शब्बीर, मरकब पे तने पाक था और खाक पे सर था, इस खाक तले जन्नत फिरदौस का दर था. Thank you very much. Aligarh Muslim University, Zindabad.